Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk Cast with Jimbo, and for this one with Calvinator. As always, we will be discussing the latest MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. One important note before we kick this episode off: none of which have asked financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse Football. It's been a long 5 weeks, I think it is now.
I think so, yeah.
I've reeled him in. Folks. For this episode 110, Calvinator is joining me in the studio. Welcome back, mate. How you doing? How you been?
Thank you. Yeah, I told people I will be back, the eventual comeback to shine my light on the MFL universe. So here I am, but it was a busy 5 weeks. I was telling you before we went live about the baby prep. But everything should be ready now with the baby room and stroller and the changing station. And all of that, 35 weeks. So she could come any moment, technically.
She could come any moment.
So,
Calva Jr. could be
best,
right around the corner.
Yeah, the best pack pool ever, Definitely high potential. So soonish, but I definitely have time right now for a little update and talking about MFL, of course.
Good man.
So,
I basically said to Calva, we're going to do a State of MFL for this episode, which I know is one of Calvert's sort of like favorite topics. And we've done them twice in the past. I think it was way back in episode 78. We had 408 Source on. It's been about 30 weeks, 31 weeks since then. I said, Calva, we're going to do a State of the MFL. Do you reckon you have some time on Sunday evening to come and join me in the studio? And he was like, yes, sure. And I was like, oh my word, the fans are going to go mental. The heartthrob of Calva is back. And the girls and the boys are going to go mental with this one. So if you don't know what State of MFL is, essentially, we are just going to highlight and discuss how MFL is a game, as a company, as everything, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, all of those sort of topics. How is MFL right here, right now, in the present? Right, that's what we're going to be discussing. And as Calva is a big fan of the topic, I thought, what better person to bring on than a man who loves discussing them. So later on in the episode, we will start talking about that. Streams this week, did Monday, Wednesday. Thank you to both, or to everyone who tuned in to those. It's really great, the final match day. On Wednesday, we have the pack drop stream, which rumor has it that there could be a legendary player in the quiz rewards. Which what? I will, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. But you don't want to miss it. I will explain more on Wednesday during the pack drop as to how this player has risen and has come to become part of this quiz giveaway. But we've got some big prizes in store for Wednesday. So on Wednesday the 8th? Wednesday the 8th, 1 hour before the drop. You know the drill. YouTube, Twitch, be there or be square. So, Calva, talking about pack drops, have you taken part in any of the previous two since you last came on?
No, but also, I think in the past, when we still did the streams, I also wasn't buying maybe sometimes one little kickoff or just to try my luck. But pretty much I've tried to be more sustainable with my MFL earnings and buying players like that, acquiring players, and sometimes, or with selling and then buying again on the market. So I haven't been joining pack drops really. Of course, first, we were joining them as hosts and streaming them, but also right now I'm just only marketplace and only the reward packs. That's my thing, mostly. Yeah, I don't like the risk. It's just more security. That's better. Not too much risk.
Yeah. Target the people you want on the marketplace. That's
exactly.
I don't think that's not a wise decision. That's a pretty wise decision, put it that way. Obviously, you know the drill by now, Calva. We're going to moment of the week, but on the basis that you've not had a moment of the week for 4 to 5 weeks, why not? I'm going to just ask a question to you. How was your season 8? How was your season 8?
How was my season? Well, let's say there was one team that did really well and the other 3 were disappointing. So that's like on average not so good. Although the Corsairs, they always struggle in gold, and each year they just survive, or it's like 8th or 10th. Now it's 9th, and actually this evening will be the big playoff if they stay in gold or silver. Actually, by the time this comes out, this match will have been played.
Yeah.
So I can just tell everyone that I was playing 3-4-3 the whole season. Also, just like the whole season, didn't change anything. But now I got a suspension and some tired players, plus 3-4-3 didn't really work out. So it's like, YOLO, I'm just going to swap the formation, change formation to 4-3-1-2. And only for this playoff. And I think I play against Duff. So it will be fun for him to suddenly see this other formation. It's a bit of a Russian roulette. I didn't test it. I'm just like, whatever. I could go back to silver, build it up back from there. Maybe it's fun to be in a title race for silver again. I don't mind going down. But if I stay up, it's also great.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Russian roulette. I just picked a formation that also works with my guys. So let's see if they stay up. The silver side, they relegated. My bronze Solidarność Gdansk also relegated because Wensum started to get better. Kudos to you. You changed it around. You fixed it. That's great.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and then finally the other bronze team from Eindhoven, from my hometown. They did really, really well. Performed above expectations. In bronze, they ended like 7th or 6th, while they were a bit worse than the team in our league. And the cup run, I don't tweet so much, but I thought like this I had to tweet out. That they won all group games, all knockout games in regular time.
Yeah.
And golden boot and golden glove. So I was like, I just maxed out one cup with one team. So that, I don't know how you call it, like a grand slam or something. But I was pretty proud of that of that achievement.
Only just the playmaker trophy you were missing, and then you basically collected everything
exactly
there was to win on offer in that cup. So that's huge. How much was it per win in that cup? Can you remember for the group stage?
Not sure. I think in total it was like 50 or 60k the whole cup run with that team.
Oh, very nice.
So that's it's pretty decent. Pretty decent earnings for those like Challenger Cup. So Challenger Cup and then 50, 60k. So
yeah,
that was very good. And that team played like 4-1-2-1-2, and somehow that clicked. Plus, I have a striker that keeps progressing on there, Shinta. He's now as good as Dempsey. He started at 78 when Dempsey was 84, and now they're both the same. So I think
in a couple of streams during the season, we did have a look at Dempsey, and we were like, "Go on, let's have a look, chat. Has he progressed? Has he progressed?" And it's like, no. It's like, can you guess when Calva bought him by looking at his chart? Yep, there's the buy.
It's one of the saddest progression charts ever. It's just like flat line, but. We know progression. He didn't play for a couple of years. Technically, still 23, 24. He is in this tier break situation. He could really pop and go off as a late bloomer at some point.
And then we could all be laughing, or we could all so you could be laughing at us. Sorry. At the moment, we're all laughing at you. There's still time and the possibility that you will have the last laugh in this situation.
But I just see it as a nice experiment. I'm not going to sell him. I'm going to keep him. See how he develops, let him retire at some point, and then if he really doesn't progress, it's just like a new word in the MFL dictionary, a Dempsey. A Dempsey is a guy who doesn't progress, only his +1, and that's it. So it's just, then I sacrificed him for that greater good that there are Dempseys. You can have a Dempsey. Progression is, there's only +1 is guaranteed and the rest is not. So it's like a cautionary tale. Don't put too much faith in progression. But I still have faith in him. So to be continued. I'll definitely share to everyone if he progresses.
Yes, hope.
Or when? Should I say when he progresses?
When he progresses.
Then when he becomes a legendary, I'll share it with everyone. So you'll know.
How?
But sorry.
I was going to say, how much MFL did you pick up this season? You checked your balance.
440k. Ooh. So that is a decent chunk. Yes.
What's that in like relative to previous seasons? Is that like a pretty decent return?
No, that's a better haul. It's like, I think last season I had like 350, so it's like an additional 100, and that's mainly because of good cup runs. Last season I had pretty bad cup runs.
Yeah, cup
now
runs make a big
actually
difference.
with my gold and silver, I made it to the knockout, even with my silver to the quarters, and then with that bronze team, I won the whole thing with all wins in group stages. So the cup really helped me, I think, to get an extra 100k, and just in general, like a bit expansion, loaning out the guys you packed from the reward packs.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm a bit like what I'm gonna do. Maybe later I'll talk to you about like the market, and there's like a lot of rares you can pick up. So I feel like the rares are becoming less and less rare, and the prices are dropping.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more valuable to spend it on the Lego pack, like one Lego pack, because these guys will for sure be a quality impulse for one of my teams. So maybe I should just get a Lego, or maybe like the lower or the 85, 89 pack, or maybe the actual one. So I might do that. I didn't do it before.
Have you bought those legendary player packs before from the?
Never.
Ooh, so it's tempting you. That's what you're saying here. It's tempting.
Yeah, or the 80-84. But like before, my strat was, I was saying this in one of the last episodes I did, is like my strat is 75-79 rare packs, and just get tons of guys, and if there's high progressing guys, they get into 80s and they get into my teams. But right now at the markets, you can pick up a lot of like talented dudes in that 70-79 really range for value. Yeah, not so much money. So maybe I'm gonna pivot, but let's see. I have a lot of MFL to play with, which is good.
That's nice. That's nice. So on a scale of, I always ask the guests usually for the week, but for you for the season, on a scale of 1 to 10, how has your season 8 been?
I would say then, I mean, if 3 out of 4 underperform or disappoint a little bit, and 1 did really well and surprise, so I would say 6. I mean,
okay,
it's still okay. It's still a decent season. Also the earnings, but because most teams had a bit of a disappointing run, I think I cannot go higher. So I would say
that seems pretty fair. Usually everyone goes
like a decent, like all right. There were some highs and some lows, but not more highs than lows. Definitely a bit more lows. So
yeah. Nice.
All the progression, I have like a couple guys who are really well progressing, so that makes up for it.
Just so not
maybe 6.5. Just no Dempsey, yeah.
6.5.
Dempsey is just the one we sacrifice so others can go up. It's like
exactly.
He's taking one for the team.
No sacrifice, no victory. Someone has to take the hit for everyone else to succeed. But no, 6.5. I mean, it could be better, could be worse. But I think most people, when I ask them that for how their week's gone, they always say a 7. 7's like the cliche.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cliche one to say.
Steady 7. Okay.
But there's still room to grow for next season, for season 9 for you there. My week, because everyone's been hearing about my season every week. So my week, also about the Wyverns kind of turning it around for the second half of the season in bronze, coming not only at the
finish 8th or 9th. Like, do you have a playoff? Or 8th?
No, we finished 8th in the end. We finished 8th. We beat Duff's Marvelous City 3-0 on the final game of the season to boost to leapfrog them to go into 8th. So I avoided it completely. So from being on bottom of the league for what felt like forever to suddenly just turning it around, feels good. But at the same time, I went back and had a look at all of the projections, and I've said last week or weeks before that I think they're becoming less viable of a way of predicting outcomes for a season because of how equally strength or similarly strength leagues are coming now within divisions. The Wyverns are predicted like second, and we had the strongest in-game 11 in the league. So, I should, I know I beat you 5-0 and I feel kind of bad for it because I knew if whoever won that game the other team was going to get relegated. But I looked at the result and went, I feel like that's what my team should have been doing first half of the season, but just weren't doing it. So it's definitely a case of blame the manager and his shoddy tactics for the first half of the season. But they got to the quarterfinals, got knocked out. They won their first 4 games in the group stage, so I could rest the last 2, which was really nice. Obviously, I went down to 2 clubs this season, just kept the Wents and Wyrms. They came second in ice and then won their 2v2 playoff match. So they're now going to be a stone team for next season, which is quite nice. I can totally see them yo-yoing in between ice and stone for ages because of the strength creep and how, you near enough have to have 4, 5, 6 rares in ice now to almost guarantee yourself to go up, which is, quite insane.
Yeah, mental.
But we managed to haul in about 51 KMFL this season, which on the basis that with 3 clubs for the last 7 seasons, the most I ever got was like 58, 59. I will certainly take having 1 less club being stone, only having bronze and ice, and still managing over 50k. I think is pretty good with loaning out. I think I loaned out something like 35%, 30% with the Wyverns. So I think I've done a decent haul. But yeah, I probably give my season, as much as I just slander people for saying a 7 out of 10. I don't think I can say that. I was going to say 7. Yeah, I was almost going to say 6.5 for you because the Wents and Wyrms, they lost in their cup final, which is a bit annoying. They lost it in the last minute, 4-3. I was 3-0 down at half time. I equalised in the 90th minute, and then I conceded 1 minute later to lose 4-3. So that wasn't the greatest. But about 6.
But it's definitely maybe encouraging for you that you fixed it, and that's like a nice, like a dopamine high, dopamine rush. Like you turn it around, save them from relegation.
It seems to be that the Wyverns either are like close to playoffs or close to relegation. There's just no like sort of just we're not scared of getting relegated. We're nowhere near playoffs. It's there has to be some sort of drama in every season, which is great if it's contending for playoffs. Although that is a bit of a heartbeat raiser and a bit of a pressure moment. But equally, it's even worse if you're in the lower end of the table, just because the absolute my heart rate and my blood pressure can't take it when I'm not only might get relegated, but I'm getting slandered by the fans for nearly getting relegated as well.
Yeah.
On stream. So yeah, I might say 6.5 as well. So maybe that's why we just have the same season.
6.5, yeah.
Just the 6.5s. Anything else you want to touch on before we move to dev updates?
No, let's move on later. Probably I'll get reminded
later. Cool. So, things. Dev updates. You can sit back and relax this one now, mate. I've got this all under control.
Yeah,
you can relax.
Let's go.
So, obviously, the engine always gets brought up in every dev update. Quentin's constantly improving it. 2 new patches went live, fixing some previous issues. They did say that 2 weeks ago we tried to avoid the stats reverting when showing goal replays. We unfortunately had to roll back our changes, but it's now been fixed and deployed to avoid having goals or shots decrease once the replay starts, which is nice. Also, the link to the full patch notes if you want to read all the actual changes, you can go have a look at that. One of the big ones this week, one of the many big things this week, which was announced, match plans, predefined tactics. You can now set up tactical scenarios that automatically trigger when certain conditions are met. Such as, you're going 1-0 up, you've gone 2-0 up, you've gone 1-0 down, you've gone 2-0 down. It is just the beginning. They will be expanding the possibilities over time so you can fine-tune your match strategy even further. So we can come back to that in a second, but that's really exciting. Trial clubs, that got announced on Tuesday. Obviously, we had the conversation with Matt, which got released on Tuesday as well. But trial clubs are coming to MFL next week. New user MFL for 1 season can play MFL for free for a season. That's not just season 9. That's if anyone joins, end of season 9 and season 10, they're going to still get a free season. So been working on it for the past few weeks in this feature, and we are still heavily focused on it this week, including a new club creation process dedicated to onboard more smoothly trial clubs. Alongside that will be the onboarding checklist or mission board, basically rewarding new users for finishing sort of accomplishments with MFL so they can get themselves a common reward pack or put someone in dev jail. It's a really nice sort of like step-by-step guide for new managers and ensure they sort of learn more about the game and gets them at the best possible level when the trial club goes live. And then final thing, you would have seen in the end of season survey in the inbox. Please go fill that out if you've not. Really helps the MFL team. And Yax has clearly been listening to the pod, as he always does, because last week with Ryan, we said we'd love to see some images, some graphics, back to dev updates. You know, if you're going to, either in development with something, it'd be great to actually see some teasers, because we used to have it with the 2D engine. They used to show us some videos of it in development. And Yax has sort of taken that feedback on board, and he's just dropped 3 images, which show sort of like an example of creating the trial club, selecting the logo, and a bit of the mission board. So a nice little sneak peek as to what to expect coming out next Tuesday, when it all goes live for season 9. Where do we start, Calva? Let's go with what technically came out first this week. Trial clubs, your initial thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I think I have something, a positive note and a constructive feedback note, I think. How I would have done it, let's say. So, of course, super positive that they do it. I think it's amazing that people can try MFL for free. It should drive, way more users. Oh, my mic goes there. It should, way more users can join, can have a taste, because we know they're often turned off kind of a high entry point. And if they try it first, then maybe it's an easier to commit to MFL and properly try it. So I think it's really amazing. And also with the onboarding and the dashboard, and that all sounds really, really good. What I personally would have done, because now it's like after one season of trying, you're kind of forced to buy that club or stop trying, kind of, right? And what I would prefer is to have a whole free-to-play, maybe, I don't know, pyramid or just a layer, like a free-to-play, like an amateur league. This kind of amateur pyramid or amateur league, or just below Flint, like this continental league. I think Matt said before, like continental or just some amateur. And you can just have a club there, play. You can even loan in some commons, although there's super low rewards, but maybe people are incentivized because of just playing time for low commons. You don't really make any MFL. You just play for free. You play the game because you like to compete against friends. And then if you end first, you have the right to buy a professional license that gets you into Flint. That's kind of how I would have done it myself, so that you would keep trying, keep playing, and at one point, if you feel like, oh, I want to challenge the big boys, I think I'm pretty good at MFL, it's really fun, I want to get a bit more serious, then you get your professional license, and you still pay that $80 to get into Flint. I mean, that's how I would have done it. I think they have probably their reasons, and they really thought this one well out. So definitely in general, super excited. Just how I would have done it slightly different. I don't know if you agree with that, or what you feel about the setup right now.
Well, I asked the question to Matt, and I said, do you envision this as sort of like a bridge halfway between like pay to play and free to play? And he was kind of a bit like yes and a bit of no. I think if ever was to go down a free to play route, it'd be something separate. But I think you said about the minimalistic or such a reduction in rewards, that almost where's the incentive to play if there's not rewards? I'm not saying you only play for rewards, but if the rewards are most free to play things, either no rewards or just so small, you have to grind for so long, that you could argue if you want to play free to play, I kind of see where you're coming from with it, with having it a separate. I think if they had the resources, they probably might consider something like that and like bridge a gap perhaps. And I think that's some people's concern was that it's an $80 gap still to someone to fork out. Obviously, you can then go and buy a club, which I don't know what the lowest is on the market right now. It might be like $50, so it's $30 less. Or so.
45, I saw something, so it's still lower.
Yeah. So there's a lower entry point than that, but obviously the rewards you would have got for playing that free trial season will be locked away until you upgrade. But those rewards themselves will be negligible in reality. I know it's easy for us to say and easy for many others to say, but to some rewards might be a huge amount. For some, it's not going to be a huge amount. But I think what's crucial is it's it's a great step towards like that
definitely.
hopefully a mass onboarding and more users coming into MFL and getting closer towards a, you know, maybe not entirely a free-to-play section, but more people, MFL being more accessible to like Web 2 users, people not like you and I, people who are our mates who have no idea, you know, how to open a Coinbase account or how to, you know, play like online fantasy, for example. It's built for those people to come and have a teaser. So, you know, I think Matt and the team are very excited by it. On the basis of that, so should we. But it's one of those that we'll kind of have to see the impact of it like 6 weeks time because of the later seasons, right?
Yeah. No, so I'm super excited too and very curious how it will play out. I'm just still like, I think, free to play with that you can keep playing this for free forever, and then maybe even buy a comment pack and drop sometimes and chuck some comments in your amateur site, and you still don't earn rewards, but you still could have the perks then of progression. For example, they could still turn out to be superstars, and just we want a lower entry point. But like if it's only for one season, it feels a bit like you have still time pressure, and maybe some people just want to have it super low key. But let's see. I'm just brainstorming. I'm thinking out loud and think like ahead. Maybe that's like the next phase of onboarding. And this is already great. And indeed, if you have a friend, say, "Oh, just give it a shot. Doesn't cost a thing. I can send you some dudes." I have like all those comments lying around or limited players. Like use them, and so
get them some game time.
Really amazing, and curious how it will play out. And in the future, maybe a full free-to-play pyramid would also be cool.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes.
See how it goes indeed. Next, match plans. Have you had a chance to look at the screen for this and what it entails? You had to play around with it. Have you created your park the bus match plan yet? Which I guarantee every manager will do.
Probably everyone has it. No, I did not. I mean, I saw some screenshots. I saw like your tweets about it. I saw some people. I didn't try it myself yet. But yeah, probably there will be something like a park the bus and like a very opportunistic, just see if you can still get a goal. But the thing is, like, it becomes kind of a bit of a ping pong. Then I feel like, because you have this condition, like if you are trailing by 2, then we go to, like last resort, kick and rush, whatever. All the CBs go up front. Some kind of just super offensive, opportunistic. And then let's say you equalize. And then maybe your match plan, park the bus, kicks in again.
Yeah, kicks in.
And then maybe they score and then you go back to opportunistic mode. So it kind of gets a bit of a ping pong.
And you see in the event like timeline of the match, you see when match plans kick in. So you could almost see like, I've gone 2-0 up. Match plan initiated, and then you could almost see yours at the same time going, trailing by 2, match plan initiated. You can see them, a little bit of ping pong in that sense.
But it's great it's there. It's a bit more like you can play some 3D, 4D chess with that, think ahead, have some other tactics, some surprises. And definitely some managers, they are really into that, especially the ones who test a lot, have multiple tactics. Maybe you can do some switcheroos. Actually, if you just have like 3 tactics that you keep rotating between against different formations, and if one doesn't work, then you go to the next one. It doesn't have to be even more offensive, defensive, but just one. If what you thought would work doesn't work, then you can always pivot during the match to the other one.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like the offensive, defensive changes. It can also just be what works better. But it's great.
Yeah, they said it's it's the beginning of of this, and they'll expand the mechanics and the opportunities and possibilities with match plans. I guess the next step is things like substitutions, not live ones, folks. For those who ask, it won't be live. It will be predefined like the match plans are. And I guess once substitutions are predefined or for match plans is included, then that's when you'll be able to change your formations. I guess because then you can say, "Oh, right, I want to bring another CDM." At the moment, you can't change your formation with the match plan, which kind of, I mean, for someone like myself who runs a 3 at the back, I can't see myself really tweaking it. I can park the bus out there, but I'd much rather be able to change my formation from a 3 to a 4 back and then play a park the bus and then be flexible like that. Which may be where some of those players who can play a dual position, like one of my players can play centre back and right back with no overall change to them. Those sort of players become really valuable, because if you want to change formation, in the future midway through a match, you've got the ability to do so without much of an impact to your squad. But it's definitely, it's one we've been asking for a while now. It was one that was in development, then it was dropped. Now it's come back in, and it's actually picked up pace quite quickly with how they're integrated into MFL. So there's more details. You can follow the different blog posts about it and things like that on the medium.
And it's definitely good also to attract more of the FM crowd, with also the heat maps and just more data. And now these kind of tactics tinker with that way more. So it's more appealing to that crowd also, and that's another kind of source you want to tap into, or like kind of some
source of the audience.
So audience. So Trial Club plus this, that will help to sell it better, the game, plus getting more people to try it. So both should be good.
Yeah, and then the last one I want to mention, dev updates, which I'm not sure I'm going to include this still. I've asked for permission to say this and I've been granted it. Although it's from the individual, not from the MFL team. So hopefully this will stay in. But on the stream, on the video on Tuesday, I mentioned about the MFL put a few posts up for hiring individuals. And he announced that someone in the MFL team, the MFL community, will be joining MFL as part of the team, and I've now been told who this individual is. Truth be told, Matt told me, and then the individual came and told me afterwards. But it's still very exciting nonetheless. And the French community's been told. There's your first clue.
I think I can have a guess.
Go on, have a guess who you think it is.
Oh, actually, there's two candidates then, two French builders, kind of.
So I would say
Bastis, I would say. First,
you are correct. It's Bastis.
Okay.
Bastis
that's great.
I can't remember the role, but he will be joining the MFL team. I did say to him, "Can I mention this on the pod?" And he went, "Well, I start work on Monday. It should be out by then, so you can probably get it out for the pod." Obviously, the MFL team haven't announced anything yet, but they should be announcing it soon, which is very exciting. He said he messaged me and went, "Now it's official in the French community. I can tell you." He says, "I'll quit playing the game because I'm joining the team." So I can't be more happy and more proud for an individual like Bastis, who's been on the pod before. He's a great guy. He does the MFL manager. He is the figurehead near enough of the French community and does so much for them over there. It may not seem like it for us as like the English speakers, because we're not involved and immersed in it, but he does so much for that community. And the French community itself is outrageous and great. So obviously, being a team member, he won't be able to play the game anymore. So that's why he's giving his best player for the quiz. He's donating a player for the quiz. So it's an 86 rated striker. He is 30 years old. So I am praying that, hopefully when we listen to this, you can go check in on my profile and he's not got the retirement symbol, but I'm just praying he doesn't throw up a retirement symbol because that means he's only got 3 years left. However, it's an 86 rated Lego. I'm pretty sure it's a striker as well. Yeah, pretty sure it's a striker.
Wow, amazing.
He sent me a screenshot. To be fair, I can't read I don't know what the French for striker is in the positions, but he's got 90 shooting and 88
BT
pace.
Probably like buteur or something.
Yeah, it's BU, I think. He's got 90 shooting and 88 pace, and he's a 86 rated striker, or 86 rated, so he has to be a striker. But he's a very nice player, so hope he doesn't throw up the retirement symbol. But nonetheless, it will be a free Lego for someone to basically have for 3 seasons minimum if they come first in the quiz. So that's very exciting.
And now some more speculation. What will then happen to his website, his platform, MFL Manager? Will that be integrated in some way?
Yeah, you don't know.
With projections on the site, in the dashboard, those kind of things would be really cool.
That would be very
integrate
cool.
The platforms. And then have just way more data predictions. Also, what you could do, in Football Manager, you had like each season the odds coming out, right? To say like, oh, the media think your team is gonna get relegated, or with a bit of AI, a bit of some tools, combine Busty's projections with some kind of messages, some kind of fake, not the fake news media, but actually fake news media.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited with the partnership. Busty's
Yeah.
brings a lot of expertise, energy, and an already existing platform that maybe could be merged to have a more immersive, engaging experience.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Basties. Thoroughly deserved. And we look forward to seeing what you do and bring to the NFL team. I know it'll be greatness, but look forward to seeing what you push out there and develop for us as consumers and us as players in MFL. And we'll have to bring you back on the pod as a new member of the team. And maybe I'll come to you for a few little insider sneak peeks in the future. Maybe little birdie says this, little leaks come out. Rumor has it, Bastis is feeding me. I'm giving him some money in the back alley. He's going to tell me all the rumors that's going around. But there is also one other thing that's happening on Tuesday. They said there's going to be like a fun sort of like little event. I can't say any more about it. You have to find out on Tuesday, but it's going to be very fun. And it's going to be sort of like community orientated. And maybe you'll be able to play with us. I mean, that's all. That's most that Matt said with the Lairds. That's the most that I'm going to say on that. But enough of that. On Tuesday, you'll know what this sort of like fun community day event is. And from what I've been told, it's going to be very, very exciting. We've not had many preseason events or many fun events like this for a while since, nearly a year ago now. The breakaway, all of what came with the breakaway before season one started in November last year. And MFL has sort of put on quite a cracking event for us, which is going to come on. So look forward to that, which will come out on Tuesday this week.
Great.
So let's transition to Mr. Farmers League. No, I'm joking. I've got to say it properly. The Diamond League now. So, Calva, you'll be able to see my screen now, so we can.
Yes.
And everyone can see our screen, which is great.
And we see 5 green dots.
5 green dots. Well. Look what we have here. A Meta Mercenaries, top of the league, winning their last 5 games. And they are 8 points clear. Whatever were we thinking? Whenever was it in doubt that Meta Mercenaries wouldn't win the Diamond? It did look shaky. We did wonder what will happen if Meta Mercenaries do not win the league. Will the world end? What happens if Herta wins the league? Will he not sell up? He's not won the league, and he is going to try and sell up. So there's your answer.
Well, only the Legos. I think he's going to downscale or something, but it's weird. It's odd. But okay, keep going. Finish the story.
I mean, we watched 3 games all on Wednesday. We watched basically BFC Los Galacticos, Jurgen Benito London versus Bob's Seoul Iron Pigs, and then we watched Bishoni Milano versus MFC Roma, because they were all the teams that one of them was going to get relegated, one of them was going to get in the relegation playoff. It was a manic moment of watching all those games, and it ended up with obviously 3X and Marseille Mental Squad were already relegated. Our final automatic relegation side is BFC Barcelona, which I think is a huge upset. I think it's a huge shock, really. That is their second relegation from Diamond, don't forget. And then we've got MFC Roma being Frager's team, who are in the relegation playoff, which I'll transition to screen a bit to see who they're going to be playing and talk about that. But I just want to say, before I come to you, Calva, for what you've thought about this season in Diamond, I want to say a huge congrats to Los Galacticos and with Sid and Orange Fly Bob for his Seoul Iron Pigs. Their inaugural season in Diamond, finishing 3rd and 6th respectively, is an absolutely phenomenal achievement for both of them. And they show that it can be done. Coming promoted from Platinum, you can just hit the ground running with a bit of investment and a bit of quality from a managerial and tactics point of view, but also from acquiring players from the transfer market. They've done a huge job, so congrats to both of them. Calva, what are your thoughts on how this league has gone this season?
No, I think it's one of the best seasons ever. I mean, if you were, let's say this was a real competition and you are a neutral fan, of football and you would be following this league, it would be really amazing. Yeah, just that Ronan is apparently such an amazing manager that even with such a bad start, he can turn it around again and pull away. It's like 8 points. But it was so close for so long, and we didn't know who was going to win. And Ronan looked to be in a real pickle for so long. But yeah, even if you leave out Ronan and it is second to 10th, how close that is really crazy. So it's super competitive. Yeah, indeed, mad respect for the Iron Picks from Orange Fly. They were also struggling, I think, in the beginning. Didn't look too good, and he also turned it around. So I think, yeah, like some managers really have the time and energy and the ability to change things, turn things around. Actually, Jimbo, you also did it, not in Diamond League, but you also fixed kind of a broken situation. Maybe some people will hire you. But yeah, really amazing season. I think it should be encouraging to all those teams for next one.
Yeah.
Right. Ronan, the mercenaries, they have shown weakness. They are beatable. With, I think he has one more season with his right back. There's some retirements coming up, some things shaking up. So the first cracks, it's like in history, I forgot this law. It's just like you have like some empires rise and then they can stagnate and then they fall. I think the stagnation phase for the mercenaries has arrived.
Wow.
And some other new kids on the block.
You're calling it. You're calling it. You call it. This is the peak. This is the peak. Everything else is a downturn.
This is the peak, exactly. Peak mercenaries.
Is this the downturn of meta mercenaries? That's what Calva is calling right here. I mean, 44 points. I think it might be one of his lowest for quite a while, which as a competitor to this league has been. I've not even touched on the fact that between 10th to 5th place is only 2 points. And 10th, 9th, and 8th were all separated by three goals. BFC Barcelona relegated, 30 points, 1 goal difference. Above them, 30 goals, 2 goal difference. Above them, 30 points, 4 goal difference. It's an extremely tight league. Ronan did also win Titans Cup as well, beating Tango, Big Wolves team. And I also believe, which was quite, this was quite nice to hear, that on the day of winning the title in Diamond on Wednesday, it was also Ronan's birthday. So he managed to win the title on his birthday, which I guess is doing the double on your birthday is a great gift to celebrate. So if I quickly come to the playoffs. So we've got tonight BFC Manchester versus MFC Roma. Can Fraj keep his place in Diamond, or will a Ballers team, BFC Manchester, managed by Yoka, beat MFC Roma and get themselves promoted? Will they do a straight swap? Will it be BFC Barcelona down, BFC Manchester up? Sao Paulo, gone.
No, I said like this might be their way to save the season. They just swap their BFC teams. That's quite interesting. Who's Sao Paulo? Okay, yeah, sure. It's Sao Paulo.
Paulo's
so this means another new manager in Diamond, which is we love to see that.
Yeah.
Dio got knocked out, but for Dio it doesn't matter because he already has his team.
What is interesting though is that Big Wilbert's Harmony team got promoted from the other Platinum side, or one of the Platinum leagues. So we're going to have potentially 2 Big Wilbert teams. So we've got this whole conundrum about what happens because someone who's getting promoted from Platinum already owns a team in Diamond. So we're going to go through this whole thing again about, I think he did wonder if maybe they could go the whole like Luchadores route again, where it's Big Wilb, Ron John and Trust together. But, maybe by the time you're listening to this, there is some clarification news on what's happening to Big Wilbert's other.
Yeah, I'm sure
Platinum
he'll sort something out with ownership and stay involved and loan out some other guys. So I'm sure something like that. But it's great to see a lot of new managers coming in, Diamond Heist. So now we had kind of half a Diamond Heist. Vogon just didn't manage to get enough people together, but I feel like next time shouldn't be Diamond Heist.
Yeah, maybe more competitive than just there as well. Greninja is the other manager, got promoted from Platinum. So we're seeing, okay, yeah, sure. Greninja, potentially a Big Will consortium or someone different, and either Fraj or Yoka going to be in Diamond next season. So it's been a very eventful Diamond League, and hopefully next season is just as competitive and exciting for us to view.
Yes.
Let's move to the market moves, Calva. You know, since you've been gone, I've been slowly increasing my research that I've been doing in the marketplace. Still not onto the levels that you would go through, trowel the air or the sales bot, etc. But I do have, you know, a little bit here. So I like to go sort of say like how many players have been sold in each sort of like rarity, and who's been some of the key managers who've been picking up quite a lot of those players in those rarities. So for the common uncommon, I focused on the uncommon. There was 583 uncommons picked up this week. SZ12, remember that name, he's going to appear quite a bit in this section. He picked up 86 uncommons this
86.
week.
86. Yeah.
You thought that was impressive. Rare players, 242 sold. SZ12 and Raisin Ball Sport Company, they picked up 29 between them. I think it was SZ12 picked up another like 13 rares. So 86 uncommons, 13 rares. For the Lego players, there was 35 sold this week, or changed hands, as I typed a bit of difference in terminology. NJM Group, Orange Fly, and So Aga each picked up 3 of those. So just over 10% was bought by 3 players, or way more than 10%. So like 20% picked up by 3 managers. Clubs, 162 clubs sold. SZ12 again picked up 9 clubs. 9 clubs, 13 rares, and 86 uncommon players. I didn't even look at limited and common, but I imagine he bought a few there as well. So I think it's safe to say, Calva, you don't do your little manager of the week. I think SZ12 thoroughly deserves it this week.
100%. I mean, what does he know? Or he's just super confident. He's like, actually, me looking at the marketplace, I also saw a lot of amazing prices. Today, I was very tempted to pick up also a couple of rares because some people are dumping them. I have a hashtag proposal which is called Pension Panic, because I feel like there's a lot of pension panic. There's a lot of older players being dumped for like they didn't even announce their retirement, and they're also already being sold as if they're retired. Like one more season left.
I really like that. I'm going to make executive decision, Calva, right here, right now, folks. You're listening. Hashtag of this episode. Hashtag pension panic.
Pension panic. Exactly.
Hashtag pension panic.
So much pension panic. So I feel like maybe that is where, I don't know which players he bought, but it could be that it's all in the slightly older category. Just use them for clubs, earn money like that, earn the MFL like that. So it seems like there is a plan. Maybe you should get him on. Maybe
we have to get him. I think he is Austrian. He lives in his Discord is Trom12, but maybe
maybe he and this Rassenball Sport guy, because Red Bull is from Austria.
Yeah,
and Rassenball Sport is like the fake, because they cannot use Red Bull in their name, right? So that's Rassenball Sport Leipzig. That's the official name. So maybe they are together.
Maybe they're taking advantage of the pension panic from other users.
I think so.
You never know. But onto the main bit of market moves, which is Splash of the Week. And 2 weeks ago, this person messaged me and was like, Jimbo, I was Splash of the Week, but you didn't say it. That was because they bought the player for 0.01, did a little bit off the counter, or over the counter, transaction. But this week, the person has bought off the marketplace, and it's a player being bought off Herta, one of his many legendaries that he said he's selling up. So, Orange Fly, Bob, congrats. You are this week's Splash of the Week, picking up Gerald Navarro, 93 rated centre-back CDM for 1,100 United States dollars. 26 years old, centre-back CDM, as I said. He's from the States, 93 overall. 83 pace, 36 shooting. We don't care about shooting on centre backs. 89 passing, 92 dribbling, 96 shooting, and 88 physical. Sold by Hertha, bought by Orange Flight. Bob, you now, you can't have a go at me. Well, you didn't have a go at me in the first place, but you can't message me now and say, you didn't say my splash of the week. He was like, right, I can't do it with a 0.01 offer. I've got to buy it off the marketplace for it to count as a splash of the week, which it has. So congrats to you, Bob. You are this week's splash of the week.
Nice. Yeah, he's really building. Bob. Oh no, now I have another hashtag, Bob the Builder. But he's really building his empire diamond. We know he's crazy competitive. 6 spot. He wants more.
Yeah.
So man with plan going there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to just sit on that where he finished in diamond. He wants to try and keep progressing, and he's a bit of a whore for winning, it seems. I think he'll probably appreciate me saying that. It's quite funny. He just loves winning and hates losing, like most of us. I think talking about losing, let's transition to IRA MFL. Let me get it out of the way. Nice and early doors. It was Norwich v Ipswich today. It was 16 years we were unbeaten, and unfortunately, Ipswich beat Norwich 3-1 today. So enough said. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to talk anymore about it because it's very, very depressing. Calva, smoothly, swiftly gone from myself, my IRA MFL. Any IRA MFL from you and your and your neutral perspective on football in the Netherlands?
I thought about this. I think Ajax. We need to talk about Ajax because everyone is criticizing Ajax, and I think it's very much justified. He's no one knows what the hell he's doing, but it's a bit. You can compare it to MFL. It's like you start the season with a tactic, or some plan, or maybe you didn't even test tactics. I think that's what Heitinga. It seems like he didn't even test tactics, but he just sticks to it. And we always say, be consistent, at least play, first half of the season with it. So he keeps using those tactics, and then in the Champions League, he just got away against NAC Breda. Was it yesterday against Sparta? Yeah. He just scraped by with another late equalizer. It's terrible. Everyone, all analysts are totally destroying him. Like, what the hell is Ajax doing? And also against Marseille in the Champions League. It's like, they've been giving away loads of goals. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put high pressure. Whatever. That's Ajax. We are Ajax. We put high pressure. We play dominant football. And then they lose 4-0. And after that, he still was like, yeah, I mean, I would do it again. Kind of like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you just know it doesn't work. And you play with like a crazy high line against Marseille. Like, what? Why? And everyone knows it's. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, the criticism is like hurting my family right now." Like, dude, that's what happens when you're a coach of a football team. You get criticism, right? So, I would get him out of there quickly. I'm not an Ajax fan, but I would get him out of there. It's really like this MFL. Like, you don't have enough time for testing. You can be bothered. Stick to the same tactic. It doesn't work. You keep believing it still will work. It will click. It doesn't. You need to change.
This sounds a bit like the Norwich manager, but I've had too much embarrassment and poor performances from Norwich point of view. Although on ITV News there is 0.5 seconds of me celebrating the equaliser on there, so people want to know. We had a lady sit down. We were in the pub. And this lady sits down. She goes, "Excuse me, is that seat free?" And I go, "Yeah, it's free." She goes, "Oh, if you don't mind, I'm going to sit here. I'm with Anglian Times. I've just got this." Like, she had basically an iPhone, I don't know, like 16 or 17 Pro Max on like this sort of device with a microphone, and she was going around recording the atmosphere and things like that. And my three mates next to me, there's like a shot of them watching it, and I'm just to the right, so I'm out of camera there. But then my girlfriend messaged me and was like, "Is this you?" And there's like just half a second of me just like, and then that's all it is, just me celebrating. And lo and behold, half an hour later we go concede 2 and lose 3-1. But you're talking about the Ajax piece is a bit like our manager, where he just doesn't have any identity and knows what he's doing. And I don't think he knows his best 11. He knows his best tactics, but all of us fans can see it's not fucking working. Like, all fans can see it's not working.
And you know what is the best thing is that Ajax didn't want to renew Farioli's contract because he was not like Ajax DNA and he didn't play so attacking, and now he's literally winning everything with Porto.
Oh yeah, like Porto, yeah, they're smashing it. Yeah, they've not lost a game.
And then they let him
season,
go, and they get like Heitinga. Like, oh god.
Yeah,
but yeah, for me, for like PSV or Feyenoord or like people who don't like Ajax, it's amazing. Just keep him for long, prolong his contract. Yeah. But,
It's Porto Benfica later on this evening. So
like if he wins that also, then yeah, definitely.
That'd be a huge game if they go ahead and win that. But right, onto our main topic, our main segment, our main point of discussion, which is the state of MFL. So for a brief explanation again, what this actually means. We're talking like where does the game stand right now? What are the strengths and weaknesses? What needs working on? What's working right now? Where's MFL heading? So we've done this before in episode 78. I think episode like 36. We sometimes try to do it like every 8 months or so, which kind of sounds mad to say every 8 months or so we do it. But I think obviously a lot has changed since we did it. I think it was back in March. So a lot has changed then. So I guess if we go down the whole like SWOT piece, and obviously strengths comes first, sort of the strength of MFL, like what makes MFL great right now? What are the foundations that keep people playing? To you, Calva, what are some of the strengths of MFL where it currently sits?
Well, I would just start with like the base idea and product and game itself is just super strong, and that will remain strong. Just having a game, football management game. Football is one of the most popular sports. Football management is also Football Manager. People love, huge game. You put it on a blockchain. You have a real economy against only real managers in real time. Like that whole concept by itself is just super strong and attracts new people, and will always, I think, attract new people. It just depends on the numbers. But if you just pitch this to people like you and me, like we were instantly sold by just this idea, reading the white paper. Like we know others who had the same. They read the white paper, they heard about this, and they were like one day instantly sold. Just that is the strongest thing about MFL, I think, is just the idea, and then also having a team that can execute it and has so far done an amazing job at bringing that to life. So I think those core fundamentals make it super strong. Then if we look, in past months, what happened is that they keep shipping, adding things that make it even stronger, like bringing things within the app, like the pack marketplace, for example, developing more features related to tactics and management that make it the product, the base game, what is already like a great idea, make that stronger. So I think, that's what I would say. I don't know, in the past months there were other things that were really super strong that I would highlight. Just that they keep shipping new features. I
think one we always highlighted it is that developer transparency with the weekly updates, how quick they are to like ship different features. I will also say that a little bit of weakness. I think there's a couple of things like some of the engine stuff that it could be quicker to react on. But I'll just say it now, particularly that goalkeeper behavior, where it's something that I've not tested this experimental engine enough yet, but hopefully that's changed in that. But that to me seemed like something that deserved to have a patch done like early on in the season, where from it, I kid you not, it was literally watch along one, bang, that goalkeeper behavior is not right. And then ever since then, it's like a long ball comes to the top or a ball played along through the defense, and the goalkeeper should just come out and grab it, but he comes out, goes back, and the striker scores, and it was so infuriating. So I would like to see some things like that almost those sort of behaviors within the engine get, patched. I know they're against patching mid-season unless it's a major thing, but in my opinion, that was a major thing. But that's sort of like a mine, and that's something they can work on. But to come back to the strengths piece, the developer transparency, like I said, the ability to ship all these features with such a small team. Matt said this, I think maybe off air, but or maybe it was on air when we were recording, but how often quite a few people will just underestimate the size of the team. I think it's all like 15, 20 people. It's only 6 people. Obviously, there'll be a few more additions to it. One thing I think has really been great, that's really coming to light recently, and it's always been like MFL, the community-driven aspect of it with, how great the community is, but also a lot of the content scene is, I think, really thriving at the moment with a lot of like conversations and podcasts. You've got the Yorkshire Tea and XP guys, which are doing a great job. So I highly recommend you listen to them if you've not already. You've got Ryan with his Meet the Manager. You've got a handful or an abundance, of other people who are creating content. And I think when you've got like a thriving content scene, it really helps the game. Whether that's, us and our pods, the streams, the tournaments, whether that's other people with their podcasts and just doing other things, just, that's a massive strength MFL right now. They've got some of the core features that keep, the core strengths of the PvP gameplay, we'll call it, player versus player. We know we don't like to say the F word, but, they have these zombie teams and that removes a bit of that skill-based management that could, if you lose them, it could be just a bit of luck or unluckiness, sorry. But I think that those core strengths of, the features like the PvP, you're playing against another manager, the progression I think is a huge one. How many of us have our own routine of waking up in the morning or doing whatever for when progression kicks in? The content people, the community, the developer transparency. But let's not forget, we did this last time in February, March. That was season 3. This time last year, we hadn't even kicked off with season 1. Very easy to look at what we need to have in here, but also very easy to not look at what we've progressed and come from. So, yeah, I think at its core, MFL has so many features that make it very, very strong. I want to get to your point, and maybe it's going slightly off tangent, but whatever. From your point of view, Calva, with obviously you've sort of taken a step back from WenDirk, and I guess therefore you've taken a little bit of less time into, having your feelers out and sensing the sentiment within the MFL community. From my point of view, the last sort of month, it feels like the sentiment has sort of come down a little bit. Some of that, like a little bit of a correction from the hype. The Laird and Netboom, they're going to hate me saying that. There's almost like a correction from the marketplace. Seems like maybe there's like a little bit of a correction with user sentiment and like that hype, which hopefully some, season 9 with all the features will just uplift that again. Have you sensed that from taking a step back as well? Or am I just...
Yeah, I mean, it is exactly for that reason. It's a bit hard to judge, right? Because it's like a bit of a... if you check Discord less, if you check Twitter less, if you stay less up to date, it also feels like there's less engagement. But then the times when I checked it, you do feel there's a little bit less energy. I think that is because you need to usually new people drive a lot of conversations with their questions, with their takes, with their observations. While more of the veterans, they don't need to ask questions. They're just sometimes in there, or they're already more into a WenDirk or in a Bollards or in a French community, or they kind of go there to have their conversations. So I feel like the general chat and other more main channels, that's more where the newbies first arrive, get talking, and then suddenly they end up in other smaller communities. So I think we just had I don't know the data on this, but I feel like there's less new people coming in compared to other seasons, which makes it a bit less active, less energy. So hopefully, I'm 100% sure this will turn around with a bit of a push and the trial clubs in season 9. I think. I don't know if you share that observation.
No, I do. And I mean, I can comment on from like a like a WenDirk POV when looking at some of like our stats over the last sort of like 5-6 weeks in terms of the amount of people that have like viewed on YouTube or viewed on Spotify. There has been like a slight little decrease in that. That's perfect. I think that's and it's still way above where we were say in March or where we were saying like this time last year. But I think for most people this little decrease in energy and activeness has been noticed by people, I think, this time. But like you said, once you embed yourself in the game for a bit, you sort of don't need to use Discord or Twitter. You just sort of play the game and take it as it comes. Obviously, we saw less people get involved in the pre-season pack drop. They have actually released the quantities for the pack drop on Wednesday, which I'll just announce now. 250 kickoff packs, 500 limited, 300 standard, and 75 rare, which if I can quickly try and find out, I'm pretty sure that's
I think more than half. Less.
Yeah, I think it feels like it's near enough the same as what we had mid-season. I think it's what we had mid-season. Which is good to see. That means it's a lot less than what it was pre-season. Pre-season was 185 rare. So yeah, they've more than halved it for the pre-season compared to last season, which is quite good. I'm glad that they've done that. And they've decreased. I think we all saw there's a little bit of market cool off right now, which we can get into later.
Yeah, I think with the threats, I definitely have some things to talk about in this sense, I think.
Yeah.
But we can save that for later. I think maybe we're now still in the strength part or the weakness part, but I think strength community is the strength. 100% that will stay that way. I'm sure if there's a new boom and a lot of newcomers, it will get more busy again. It feels now a good metaphor is like a party, like a house party, and you have like everyone going into separate rooms, and then the living room party and then if there's no one on the dance floor, you also don't go there. So you just go outside to smoke and drink and on your couch, and no one goes back to the living room to make the party living. Like, and then when people come into the Discord, they feel like, oh, it feels a bit like that.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of the vibe right now. So we need to get people back into the living room.
Yeah, no, I think that's a spot on analogy. I think getting people into the living room.
Yes,
and I guess
another hashtag.
People into the living room, and I guess we're here saying that's an MFL thing. MFL should be in the center of that lounge, calling people in. I think us as community and creators, etc., can do our bit to tell people to come on, in you come. But MFL needs and that's where these things like the trial clubs, the match plans, all these features they've been releasing in the last couple of weeks, they're the things they go, come on guys, like come and see these new flashy features, come back to the lounge, come back to the living room, try them out and
discuss it and debate it and things like that. So but still it is, I mean, the community still is helpful as always and very creative, as you said, and still enough content. And you also see on Instagram a little bit of some reels, like Chuboy saw, and yourself, I saw a clip with Matt on, like, there's a bit more reels being shared there too. So that all keeps going on. So that's still there. That's still a strength, I think.
Yeah,
and maybe a weakness, and also an opportunity is, like, I think it could be a bit more, there could be a bit more content being pumped sometimes from MFL itself. I feel like, or a bit more marketing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw. You must have seen they released the first of some of the Paris content that we.
Yes, I saw. With my,
you get
right guess. I get
spot on. I spot on. You were spot on with it, and I was like, that jammy man. Spot on with that one. But yeah, like, it's just small things like that. I would have thought they would have been released earlier. I mean, I thought I was bad waiting 3 weeks to release a Paris vlog. I think they took 2 months to release release them. But I know that's I guess let's go into weaknesses then. The weakness to an extent could be things like a small team, and this is what, this is something that, we spoke with Matt, him and people like himself and Jan have so many fingers in so many pies. They want to, because they need to be there. He admitted that sometimes things get held up because he needs to like check off something or verify something or have a look at something, but they can expand, which they're hopefully doing now. Then there's more people, you're employing people who know what they're doing. And I'm not saying the others don't, but, people who were, from like the marketing point of view, someone who's a professional in marketing to head that strategy, create that strategy, drive MFL forward from a media and a content and a marketing point of view, I think will be really, really beneficial, because I think some of the marketing stuff they can be better at. But they've always had they've been very organic angles. They've been very authentic and organic, and I think mature with how they've done growth. But I think there's still room to grow there. And you can flip it on it. You can flip it on its head and say it's a strength or an opportunity as well, because there's so much untapped potential. But I think we do need to see a bit more of a drive in that. And hopefully with the trial clubs, there will be more of a push there, because that's a really big thing to try and capture for them and try and push out. They need to get people as they can to say, look, come and play MFL for free for a season. Come experience how great it is. I don't know if you heard the story that Matt said, that there's a massive ASC French content creator, and they did like a little ad in his video. And on the first video he released, they got like nearly 1,000 signups on his link, but only a handful of them actually committed to buying a club. And I guess that shows the potential, the people, the opportunities there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit like, do you want to push the button? How aggressive do you want to be?
Yeah.
So you could say now the weakness is a bit, maybe they didn't just do enough, so the intake of new users was a bit low, which affects market, which affects prices, like yada yada, all those things. But yeah, do they want to have that? Like, they could probably hit some buttons. They could throw a bit of cash, add some Facebook ads, and add some other. Maybe, you can just buy a place in a podcast, probably with a huge audience, and say things, or I don't know what. There's like tons of buttons you could push. But then, do you want to have that? Right? You also need to be ready for it, and I feel like it's just a bit of a fine line. Sometimes you can add a bit much, like maybe it gets a bit too much, and I was a bit too little. But having a huge tsunami kind of people coming in could also really upset the game.
Yeah.
So I think they want to be careful of this. I mean, I totally trust them. It feels like right now we could use a bit of a push, a bit more marketing, a bit more users. And I'm sure with Trial Club right now, they have it lined up. So they're going to try with Trial Club to get a new push, new boom in. So hopefully that is an opportunity. I'm sure they're going for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm glad as well they're revamping the onboarding piece as well, because I think that's something which, one of the barriers to entry, you could argue, is financially, is with regard. That's what the Trial Club is sort of. The problem is, here's a problem. Barrier to entry from a financial aspect, the club price is too much for a player to commit to just to play the game. Solution: Trial Club for a season. Another problem: onboarding can be too complicated, and it's not good enough. Solution: let's revamp the onboarding, and then we'll see. The combination of those two being released next Tuesday. I do think that MFL can be a steep learning curve. I think it's lots of little things to learn, but at once it can be quite overwhelming. And I think hopefully this onboarding revamp will address some of that and make it easier for new users to learn how to play MFL whilst rewarding them as they do so. So I look forward to that, because if you can really have a great onboarding experience with the Trial Club, I think that could potentially a really perfect match to having more sort of like invested and committed players playing MFL. And I guess fundamentally we all want that. We always want to see the game grow, because we are still such a small user base. I think there's like just over 3.4 thousand people have clubs or have a club. I think about 5,200 have players. So if we just take that or at least a player in the agency. If we take that, story that Matt said, if 500 people or 1,000 people signed up, that's nearly a 20% increase in amount of users who have a player, or a 33% increase in amount of people who own clubs. They're quite sizable changes that could happen in a short space of time, but they could take 6-7 weeks to come into fruition, because that's how long the seasons are. Maybe not a weakness referring to MFL, but more of like just how the gameplay's fallen. I want to touch on strength creep, because I feel that's something that's quite, I'm listening to the guys on the most recent Yorkshire TNXP, which did a really great episode, by the way. I highly recommend you folks go listen to it. They spoke about what they would like to see included MFL, and some really great ideas that they mentioned on there. And they briefly spent, I think it was Big Mr. K was speaking about strength creep, and how, he looked at his ice club from a couple of seasons ago, and then looked at, one this season, and just see the difference in strength creep. Do you think that could be a little bit off-putting for new users, Calva, in terms of how strong all the divisions are coming now? And I guess a fear that I've got is people go into Flint League and someone has stacked it, which, no fault to their own, we're not blaming the individual. Does that then potentially ruin the experience for these new users who are playing for free? And could they then just like go, naff it, I'm not gonna play much this season because I've seen I'm in a really poor league for me to get out of?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this. I think in general there is strength creep. There is strength creep, that's for sure. We are still in the awkward transition phase to a more sustainable player pool of like guys coming in and retiring. Right? There's still, with like the population pyramid, we spoke about it. Right? We're now entering like we're still in the small. Like there's a small amount of old people. There's a huge amount now of like middle age, and then the young guys. That's like also a smaller
pre-Japan,
smaller. Yeah, exactly. It's and we just need to get to a bit more stable population pyramid, let's say, and get those guys out of there. And now they're all like overpopulating all the leagues, and it's getting better and better. And also combined, I think right now with the market going, like price going down, it also becomes easier to get those rare guys. Just for a little bit of money, you can get way more rare guys. So you're gonna buy them, put them in your Ice or Stone or maybe even Flint teams.
Yeah.
Although for new guys coming in, well, if that's maybe the bar, then like okay. For us, we notice it more because we've been around for like multiple years. For people who just join, maybe they say this is the normal. It's normal to have rares.
Yeah.
In Ice. So maybe if, in that sense, not a problem. It's just we are in an awkward transition phase between more with like with like sustainable, more economy of retiring, and also what I like what you said before is just that the user base also needs to grow. So it's a bit more robust, against fluctuations or changes. Like I feel like now there's a couple of guys maybe selling up, and that immediately has an impact on the economy, and it kind of triggers maybe more people selling.
Yeah.
So we need to be a bit more robust, bigger. Like for example, McBride, he clearly said on Twitter, like, I'm not leaving because I don't like MFL. It's just so rare as nuts right now, and personal stuff, I cannot do it. But he had quite a big agency, and then he sells up, and then he keeps dropping his prices because he cannot sell up. And then there were a couple of other people doing the same, and then you have all those rares dropping, and then get a kind of a chain reaction because we are kind of a small economy, country. We're like really geography. We're like a small country with a fragile economy.
I was literally about to say the marketplace is fragile to particular large accounts swaying things. I think is probably a good way to sum that up. I think we saw
that's like a bit of weakness or threat, you could say, right?
Yeah. I think also I'm going to just expand that out there, and that maybe even say that because of the nature of the game in Web3, and it's got money involved in it, and other games, I wouldn't say necessarily competitors, but games in the sort of sports, fantasy, whatever space, there is a bit of fragility there, with the So Rare season starting up, and that was a huge success for So Rare's part. You've got the F word. There's also another F word. I'll just say football.fun. When that had that massive launch, you could see liquidity being pulled from MFL and being, to use a word that Big Mr. K loves, being deployed in different games. And I think because of the small user base, there is that fragility within the marketplace. But I think if we were to then sort of fast forward, hopefully a year, then I would expect us to be more robust against such sways. So
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you agree.
No, you just notice that, you just see it. You see, and also dropping prices. We talked about it before. It's not a problem. It's maybe even nice. And you see some people like the guys we mentioned in the market update. Some people are profiting from that, and they see this as a golden opportunity to kind of buy the dip in some way. Not financial advice, but that's really how I felt today. I was like, what the hell? There's so many guys I put on my watch list. Yeah, I don't even know which guys to buy, but there's so many good deals out there.
Because I thought I picked
because we trust in long term, right? We trust in long term, but
yeah, exactly. I thought I picked up a great deal 3 weeks ago, and I'm now looking at it going oh, my great deal might not be so great, but it's still my great deal may now only be just a deal. It might just be a couple dollars off. But I think coming back to what you said about the marketplace and supply and retirement of players, I think we're still about 5-6 seasons away from that sort of ins and outs are equal, and we're seeing that big first turnover of retirements. But we've seen a supply boom, massive amount of new managers, massive influx in supply. We're now seeing we're not seeing a decrease in supply, we're seeing a decrease in the growth of supply. It could easily be that if this stays like this for a bit, suddenly, we could get a supply shock to an extent. Let's look at this from a different angle. We've got a bit of supply flood. Flood seems a bit too much of a harsh word to use there. Oversupply, and then it could easily be a supply shock where actually, I like what you said earlier, are rares really rare at the moment? No. Should rares probably be rare based on the percentages of how many come out in packs and stuff and minted? Yes. Do we maybe see in 5-6 seasons time, if the pack drop supplies stay as they are or don't shift massively to what they were in season 5, season 6, season 7, do we see a supply shock and players actually rise in price? I would much rather see peaks and troughs across seasons rather than massive increase, big decrease, because that's no one likes that volatility. In any market, but we could go into big financial backstory there, but we need to keep this MFL orientated, not financial market orientated. But if anyone wants a pod on S&P 500, just let me know. We can try and integrate it.
But the cool thing about MFL is, of course, that a lot of the same dynamics are here. And right now, you just have a couple of factors together. The pension panic. So this means that older rares and older commons are being dumped because people still want to get some value out of them, and only monetary value, not MFL value or not in-game usage value. So they want a couple of dollars from that. So they are kind of dumping them, and not people are picking them up because they're feeling the same panic. I'm going to pick up some guys later. I'll just wait a little bit more. So this is happening. Then you have a couple bigger whales leaving, which adds to that. Plus, then we had a couple bigger drops, but not the same amount of new guys coming in. So all of those combined together created that kind of, prices falling. And plus we're in this awkward phase, what I said, with the retirement. So all of that together creates kind of this vibe, and that one of the threats is then that creates an effect of even more people oh no, prices are dropping, right? And you can kind of get a spiral, like a domino effect. So that is, I think, the biggest threat right now. And hopefully, probably, with trial clubs, with new features, new marketing, season 9, that can be kind of stopped. and stabilized.
Yeah, I think that's I think the free trial clubs is a huge opportunity.
Yes.
For MFL, and we could be like laughing in 12 weeks time when we've had another like 500 people have upgraded their club and committed to playing, and that's a huge increase, right? That's a massive increase. I guess a threat on the horizon might be something like Football Manager being released very soon. Might that have an impact and pull some people away? I think I'm speaking out loud here because this is I just like, you know, a thought come into my head. If I've got to say it out loud, otherwise it will go. I've learned this. You can't hold a thought for too long. You've just got to say it out loud.
Say it.
Is there the club marketplace is obviously at quite a low point in terms of valuation, especially from the lower end. You know, you're seeing Flint, Spark, and to some degree maybe like Ice being valued around about the same price. Which, if they are roughly the same price, you always go for the one that's in the higher division, folks, by the way. Get more rewards. If a Flint and an Ice the same price, get the Ice club, unless it's obviously location-based. First of all, I was going to maybe get your takes on that. But second of all, I could ask you so many questions here, so I'm not going to ask you like 4 in a row and then ask you to answer them all. Where I'm going to try and go with this is that with the more features that get added, I believe more people will consolidate down their agencies and will start to basically say, I haven't got the time to run, unless you trust the process and have 92 clubs. I haven't got enough time to run 8 clubs. I'm going to now bring, I'm going to only run 4. Do we see the club marketplace recover, if we were to use the word, or pick up at a slower pace than the players do as more features get released? Or do you think that's potentially a threat? That
I think so, yeah. I think it's just with predefined tactics. Well, there's one big if, and right now, current situation, I think you would see that. I think you would see clubs still being kind of cheap because people just don't have the time to manage many clubs. They would rather manage a couple of high-end clubs with higher MFL rewards to maximize that and more fun, more challenging.
Yeah.
So, plus, yeah, we both did the same. We kind of sold or want to scale down because with all of these new things being added, it's just too much time. But now comes the big if, is the delegation piece. Right? It's a bit right now, I'm very on fire with my metaphors and analogies, but it's like in real estate, imagine that people who own a lot of real estate have to live at least a couple of days per year in each house. I don't think people would start buying a property so much, right? They were like, oh no. Yeah. But what is the situation is that people don't have to live there. Some never even live there. They don't even know where the hell it is. They just keep buying up properties and properties. And you make money out of it. So if you could delegate all of that and then let people play kind of free to play with your clubs and just for 10% of the income and you let them rent it, we're going to see some big moguls just buying up all the clubs with delegation. Yeah. So I think the delegation is going to make or break that market.
I think another make or break thing as well is if they ever introduce live tactics.
Live changes, yes.
Because I've always had the impression that I think they will never go down that route. Because even if it's only like a 1% gain maximum you can get from it, people will still feel they're losing out on 1%, whether they are based in the world, etc. And I know people have told me, and I've said with them, like, they would happily downscale at that point. They would be their hand would be forced to downscale because they haven't got the time and commitment. What's interesting? Have you filled out the survey?
I should have, but I did not.
That one of the things that says, what are you most looking forward to? Or what feature would you most like to see in MFL? The second most picked answer so far has been live changes at 27%, I think it was, or something like that, which is interesting. Because I wonder if, I'd like to know like the people who have, the breakdown of managers who have selected that and like the size of agencies. Because I know if I had 10 clubs that introduced live features, I would probably consolidate. Obviously, I only have 2, so I can't speak for those people. But I'd like to hear their opinions. If people you are listening, on YouTube or wherever, or Discord or Twitter or whatever. Let us know if they did introduce live features, would you consolidate? Would you still keep your side agency if that was to happen?
But I would, even with one club, I would still be against it. Just imagine you're on holiday with your family and then you have to pull out your phone because your Metaverse club is playing, you know. I would say don't do that to your wife and kids. And come on, you're on holiday, like, right?
And that's what the predefined tactics are there to solve. That you don't need to do things live. You can do things predefined. Obviously, predefined, you won't get the same sort of flexibility in terms of what you could do live, but everyone's on the same level. Everyone's on the same, fairness. If everything's predefined, everyone's got the same options. So I think if we were to go down live, I think that would potentially be a threat to.
Yeah, exactly. Just commit to it. You're never going to please everyone. Just commit. Our game is predefined tactics. If you like life changes, go to the other game. Just commit to it as part of your identity and part of your vision. And there's always going to be people calling for life changes. It's not going to go away.
No, it won't.
So just, because it just forces people to be awake at a time or available at a time. And it's not going to be nice and comfortable.
No.
For many people. So for a massive, bigger user base, I think it's not going to be good. It's like with gaming, right? People just want to plan their own, just at the end of the day, maybe sit down, play 1 or 2 hours of their favorite game, or manage the MFL teams, do some scouting, and not be always forced to do it, or you lose out. Indeed, that's also the threat. If you don't do it, you are losing out on possibly a win. So, but there was another opportunity I will mention.
Go on.
Flavor.
Buzzwords are back, baby. Buzzwords are back.
Yeah. Flavor. Yeah, so I think really with not too much effort, although, sorry, I'm not a developer, but I feel like we could, like the stadium experience, right? What we said before. I mentioned this a lot of times, just like the stands. Just to have kind of some aesthetic NFTs, or like some stadiums, that you have a cool stadium. You can color the stadium in the colors of your club. You can put your fake sponsors there, like WenDirk Cast as a banner on one of the sides. It's one of the boards. You have the dashboards with top scorers, with predictions, with like the AI media reports quickly generated. All of those things to make it a bit more immersive. I think it would be really cool. The kit maker, right, is coming. Like to have that on your shirt, to maybe then also that your way more of your whole MFL, if you're in that club, changes into that color. So just, I think there's a huge opportunity to just make it more visually and more immersive. And people are just suckers for like those kind of things, for like aesthetic NFTs. Look at Fortnite, how many kids are breaking their bank to have a skin of, like a Christmas guy with an Easter bunny hat, whatever. They pay for it, right? So
I think tapping into adding those extra flavors, unlocking those ingredients for the recipes, adding extra flavors is a huge opportunity for MFL. The kit maker will hopefully be the start of that, and I'm hoping the kit maker shows MFL like the appetite for the community for those features. The stadium one's a massive one. On the Yorkshire TNXP, they mentioned this one, and I know we've mentioned it before, and other people have mentioned the community. Just things like historic stats for your clubs and your players. Going up to see, they mentioned it about like who's your all-time top goal scorer in your club's history. What's the biggest loss? What's the biggest defeat? Same thing. What's your biggest victory? What's your biggest defeat? What's their, like having a stats tab. That information's all there. It just needs to sort of be like displayed, I would imagine. The social media templates you briefly touched on, I think there's so much opportunity there to increase that. We've seen MFL develop their own 400 node strong AI photorealistic image generator, and they'll be tapping into an AI model for the club trial logo generation, which will have no backgrounds, which is great, which is a huge success. But I think more can be done there with some, maybe, we've seen some like images when they do Splash of the Week, or they do their own images, and the photorealistic players have been developed. I remember when it was our 100th episode, I said to Lucas, can you get a picture of Dirk, and can you pop him in a studio with like, can you generate a 100th episode like image of him? And Lucas was able to put Dirk in a studio with a microphone and a party hat and 100th anniversary or 100th episode in balloons behind him, and Dirk looked exactly the same as he was on his card, which is really scary but really cool at the same time. There's so much more with the the template generated after the matches, like squad lineups. Hopefully we can get that with the kit maker. Hopefully those things are in the pipeline, because there's some huge opportunities there to sort of flex what's great about MFL. Maybe some like some templates on like the progression of a player. Like maybe you generate your own little GIF of how it transitions from uncommon to rare, or just something that makes people want to go, oh, I want to post this. This looks great. I want to save this. I want to share this. And that's where you get that organic growth can really amp up. I think there's so many opportunities there for MFL to capture some of that.
Animation. There's even like, what about just some crowd sounds part of the like, now we have like a
Harmer
whistle.
mentioned that in the Discord. He was like,
I
watched one of the games. It was like silent, apart from the goals. Vuvuzelas maybe we added.
A bit more like that, like those kind of things. So a bit more flavor, a bit more visuals, a bit more animations. What before the game you see, logos popping up.
I want to see the players walk out onto the pitch. I want to see the players walk out from the side of the pitch, walk out, and maybe if you could introduce stadiums of some sort. Maybe not every club comes out from the bottom. Some clubs have it at Old Trafford. They come from the corner flag and they walk on. Like, just get the players walking out. Maybe they, as a countdown, they walk out. They then line up. They then like shake hands. No, they walk past each other, and then they go in little huddles, and then they separate out during the last 10 seconds. Just small things like that.
Yes.
Probably most people wouldn't would after a while just sort of go, oh, like that's the norm. But like, oh my God, like it's just a little bit of immersion and flavor that, as a new user, I imagine like, wow, they've really thought this through. Like even this season, did you notice when a corner kick goes down, like the balls or like a player will pass or leave the ball on the corner, the try, and it like very subtly moves to the corner, like it's been like rolled there by someone, and like all these animations, not just like the ball teleports there. And the
net, there's a net moving. Like that's already a little bit of flavor. Like that. So more of that, I think, could be a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I think ultimately MFL right now is in a huge, I'm going to say like primed is probably maybe a decent word to say here, is that with the trial clubs and the onboarding and the match plans, there's so many features that are coming out and have come out that MFL is like primed. Prime for success seems like too cliche to say, but if they can get all like the marketing stuff and all that piece right and bring in these new players, then all the foundations are there to bring in all these new users. Like, I think we're in a really promising position. Yes, I would say this season 8 from a sentiment point of view has seemed a little bit down compared to previous, but I think what's coming for season 9 is really promising, that we should be all very excited about it.
No, 100%. I mean, if to wrap things up, I'm still gonna pressure you on time.
You wouldn't be here, wasn't it?
if I would say it's like, to somewhere we're a bit in an awkward phase, both with like maybe prices and community engagement, and just everything is with supply and the pension panic. Like, we're a little bit in an awkward phase, but the core, the foundation of both the team and the game and the idea and the plan, that is amazing. Plus what is now lined up and the new things we're going to ship and release and going to go live soon is also amazing. Combine that with some renewed energy, a bit more marketing here and there, and then boom, you should have golden times again in the coming seasons, and then we'll see what the next state is. So That's the state.
I think you summed up very well there, mate. Thank you for that. And I know you want to keep to time, even though you've not been on a while. You want to still. I don't know if you've seen how long the last episodes have been. Have you seen how long the last episodes have been? They've been like 2 hours, mate. You would be seething.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw a couple, but 2 hours even. That's
that's Fergie time. That's Fergie time. But right, I think you've summed up very nicely. So I'm not going to sum up myself. But MFL is in a very promising position right now to prime and get themselves and push themselves forward. But before we say thank you to you coming on, Calva, which seems a bit weird now saying thank you to you for coming on. Usually it's like every week, thank you to you. But hashtag pension panic. Get it in the comments on YouTube. Get it in the Discord. Get it on Twitter as well. Maybe, AI generate pension panic and then tag us on Twitter. Also, let us know in the comment section and just in general your thoughts on this episode and the strength, weakness, opportunities, threats to MFL. We'd love to hear your contributions to this conversation. But Calva, it has been a delight to have you back in the studio. Hopefully, and we will have you again at some point. But if it's not for a while, and if it's not before Calva Jr., then thank you for coming on, and I wish you all the best with your little family when it arrives, mate.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, no, it was really great to be back and ramble, and,
upper ramble.
Create some hashtags and shine my light on loads of things.
I loved all the analogies.
I'll definitely, when the big day is there, you'll definitely hear it, and you can maybe share it on the pod. It's a little update, dev update.
Yeah, a dev update. Calva Jr. is now in the building.
It's the pack.
Calva Jr. has been minted.
Has been packed. Has been minted. Exactly.
The progression starts now. No, but
maybe even it's like let's say it's half a year, do another State of MFL and look back at this one. That would be pretty cool to do that and see if we were right.
Yeah,
and then who knows where we are? Then interesting.
Yeah.
So to be continued.
To be continued, indeed, mate. Honestly, thank you very much for coming on. It's been great to see you.
Thanks.
And your little analogies. I think some of them were great. The party in the house one. I think
living room.
Absolute banger. Yeah, get everyone back in the living room again. But hashtag pension panic. See you on Wednesday for the pack drop, and also get ready for that news from MFL on Tuesday regarding some little community event. Be excited because we are. But without further ado, thank you all so very much for listening, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.